you go. I think I'm there. Hey there, how you doing? Let me get set up here. I hope it's a break in the weather and the rain, and so I decided to sit outside. I'm going to talk about loving a strong woman, and I'm just going to share some insights that I've gotten over the years when it comes to loving her and loving a woman who is assertive, who is aggressive, who handles her business. There's a way to love her. There's a way to be able to show her that you care. Let me first explain to you how or why I'm doing this, I believe. I don't know, but I never like to see people get bullied. And growing up, I think just watching family members and close relatives go through all kinds of craziness in their relationships, and seeing the hurt that my own very mother experienced at times early on in their marriage. I just didn't like it. And then when let me explain something to you. I know this so well because a freak knows a freak, okay? And what I'm saying by this is I got my freak on. I did my thing. I did my dirt. And I didn't say dirt. It was fun at the time because I didn't know no better. It was ignorance is bliss when you don't know. And so I'm not a virgin when it comes to dealing with women and issues. And I've done some dog me out stuff. And then I guess one day I came to an understanding that this is somebody's daughter. And I was in college, and my roommates, at least one of my roommates, he was running through women like running water. And we would talk about it like it was some kind of sports event. Oh, I got her. I met her here. Boom, I'm working on her. And he was working on 4 or 5 different women at the same time, especially freshmen. But he had a main woman that he was committed to. And let me get this to you. I'm going to do it one day. I do it in Wildflower. The reason, how do I say it? The man doesn't leave his wife for you is, as much as they're not going through, her love is tattooed on his heart, whether he wears this ring or not. And sometimes I don't have a ring because I just can't find it. She is tattooed on his heart. And so even if you think that he's going to leave her for you, every time he doesn't leave, he's saying, her love is tattooed on my heart. And I love you, but at the same time, she's safe. And that's an unfortunate pain that sisters have to go through. And so I have at the top of my notes, don't let them break you. Because as I began to observe women, especially once I've been doing the boyfriend-girlfriend thing, but once I began to observe women, and when I became a pastor, and I could not understand, why don't these women have relationships? What is happening? These are good sisters. What's going on? Something's wrong. And I'll never forget, I live in Maryland, but I was in D.C. and on 8th Street, and I was walking down, getting ready to go to have dinner with my wife. And I saw a group of about 8 women, and they were dressed, looking as fine as all get out. They was out to have a good time. But I've been very observant, and I noticed, I said, but they by themselves. I said, and so I would watch sisters, and y'all know how to encourage yourself, and God bless you, because y'all got to keep this thing together, because sometimes this thing get rough. And so I began to understand, because I've been working with relationships for so many years, that the mindset of the woman was changing. In the last 15 or 20 years, she had to change if she was going to survive in this new environment. And so once I saw this, and I also did everything I could to prepare my daughter for men, I just have an affinity towards women, and I have an affinity towards men, but right now my spirit is towards the women. So by the time the hashtag Me Too movement came in, I was like, thank you, God. Now, there's some other things that's happening with that, but I'm so grateful because it needed to be dealt with. Why? Because I was always dealing with the aftermath of what people had gone through in their relationships. So having said that, I did a broadcast the last time, and so I'm not going to repeat everything, but in order for me to catch the vibe of where I'm at and catch the vibe of where we need to be, and then I'm just going to flow. My granddaughter is in the house, and I put out and said, hey, listen, I'm going to be in the house, because the last broadcast, she just came home. I'm learning a whole lot about having grandchildren, I tell you that. And so I'm going to flow, but my goal, friends, brothers and sisters, my goal is not to beat you down. My goal is not to offend you, but I'm going to speak some truths. And as I speak these truths, all I'm asking you to do is take the meat, spit out the bones. But when you finish this, if you are someone who is involved with an assertive woman, a go-getter woman, a woman who knows how to make it happen, you're going to have some challenges if you don't understand what I'm talking about. My wife, a black girl named Jill, is my guru. I married her because she was smarter than me. I'm glad I recognized that she was smarter than me, and I did that for that because I was really looking for a helpmate. And I hope I can remember when I come back to this. I was really looking for somebody to help me, because by this time I had already crossed over into God and just surrendered my life to the Spirit. And I wasn't going to be out there sleeping with women. And so I had already prayed a year, 2 years before I met her. I don't want to say hook up with her, because we wasn't hooking up like that, although we did hook up. It was much later on in the relationship. Hopefully I get to talk to that, but that's a whole nother story. But I was looking for somebody to help me. And I said, God, I just want one. Just give me one. That's all I want is one. And I made a vow that, and brother, listen to me, if you broken that vow or whatever, that's your journey that you on. But I didn't help brothers, sisters, and everything. And my goal is to give this wisdom to you so that you can be better in your relationship. And so having said all of that, I'm going to just start this flow. And Father, I ask that you would speak to my heart. Father, let these words come out of my mouth that will change some people. I choose now to cooperate with the universe. One of the reasons we have several generations of weak men is a direct result of the church and the way the world is perceiving women. And we have weak men because of the treatment often of women. And we don't understand Proverbs. You know, it's been quoted all the time, but we don't understand who this woman really is. And remember, I said I just prayed for one. I said I just wanted one. And so Proverbs says Proverbs 18:22 says the man, he who finds a true and faithful wife finds a good thing and obtains favor and approval from the Lord. And I understood that if I was going to advance, and I didn't know, I had no intentions on being a pastor, that was the furthest thing from my mind. And for as long as I was doing it, was the furthest thing from my mouth, because I had to really let God work with my mouth to help me out. But now, Proverbs 31 is not about a nice woman. Proverbs 31 is not about a people-pleasing woman. It's about a powerful woman. And so I've seen a lot of women trying to line up with the virtuous woman. And this male chauvinistic church society that we're in, they sort of swing it towards them and trying to make you come up to some kind of image. And we're just going to dispel that right now. Proverbs 31 is about a powerful woman. And so when you study the language in the Bible, you begin to see that relationships in marriage was described in military terms, because relationship is about war. One day I'm going to talk about the power struggle, and I'm going to show who you are as a male and who she is as a female, and why we keep clashing. And so we've watched this disrespect that we've had be cultivated into our culture and the next generation. So it's to the point we can call her out her name, we can say anything. And it has a lot to do with Hollywood. And listen, I have to say it's God, because I'm so grateful that the gatekeepers, especially the top gatekeepers in Hollywood, who allowed all this filth to go into the homes and green-lighted all these programs. I now understand. I didn't know what was going on behind the scene. But now that I see all these different things, now we know some is accusations, but some of them we know they true as hell. And so once I began to see this, I said, okay, that's why they green lights all this stuff. There's a television show out here. It's only one season. And it was on Amazon, and it was dealing with 3 women, and it was dealing with the sister who is one of the politicians, and if you can put it on the thing, she's one of the politicians in DC. She's got short hair. She's been a while. She's a warrior in politics in DC. I can't think of her name right now, but she's in this movie. That was one of the best movies about the women's movement and the beginning of feminism and the women's movement and the whole 9 yards. That was one of the best movies. And so I watched the whole series. And then I'm waiting for the next series to come out to only find out they ain't gonna run it. Because it was too, what do you call it? It was too good. It was showing how this male-dominated culture was pushing them out. And I almost had her name. I can't think of it. She's been fighting for statehood. Thank you. Eleanor Holmes Norton. Thank you. That was just going to get me. Thank you. Eleanor Holmes Norton. So there's a series where she's in it and 2 other white women, but it's showing the beginnings of this understanding. Wait a minute, we got to take a stand. You would enjoy that series. So now let me keep going. When I said in military terms, a real man knows how to make it rain for her. See, we got it all backwards. We done turned this thing around where make it rain, and we throwing all these dollars, making it clap, and we doing all this stuff, and we feeling like we men. But you ain't no man. I'll take that back. You a man, I'm just telling you. When you understand your purpose and who you are, I used to watch porno and all that stuff. And Facebook and FBI, y'all can check all my records. I ain't got nothing on my stuff, and I didn't erase nothing. But I got a little freaky thing happening at one point. I used to have to go into the hotel, and now, I don't do it now because I've really overcome that. But there was a season when I checked into a hotel. I said, look, y'all do me a favor. Turn these movies off, because I couldn't get past the temptation myself. So I'm not going to sit here and talk about like I am Rudy Two Shoes or whatever you want to call it. So, but brothers, I'm doing this, and sisters, I'm doing this because it's time for the brothers to make it rain for you. And you make it rain by treating her like the queen she is and treating her like who she is. And we're going to dispel what the world says she is. And I want to get going now. I've been doing all this other stuff. Here's how you make it rain for her. First, you must show her empathy. Empathy. And that's one of the things that's missing with a lot of men. You want a prime example, and I am no Democrat and no Republican, but you want a prime example of someone who doesn't have empathy. It's Trump. He doesn't have it. And this is the age of the sociopath, the psychopath. And when I say that, I'm not criticizing. I'm saying, no, these are behavioral things that have happened to people who have been out there doing their dirt or doing their stuff, and they don't have feelings. And so one of the things I had to learn to do was have empathy for my wife, because every time we had a discussion, it was a battle. Because she's a high D and I'm a high D. When we do our disc and we do the personality, we're going to do a relationship seminar. And when we do this disc, we were two people clashing. It was two men in the house. Sometimes if you saw our arguments, it looked like Neo and Morpheus fighting in the beginning of Matrix. I'm ducking, she doing all this stuff. We jumping all around in the house. It was serious. But then what I had to do, guys, and what I had to do, people, I had to learn to love all of her pieces. All of her what? Pieces. And when I say all of her pieces, one of the I've learned this. I used to listen to songs, but I've understood, I understand now, if you want to crack the code of what your woman is going through, look at the songs she listens to. Get the lyrics of her favorite songs and read them, and then you'll understand sometimes what she's going through in her soul. Because I finally came to the conclusion that a lot of these women, when they write these songs, they're writing out of their own experience and what they've had. But if you listen, just like in Proverbs, to certain songs by certain artists, you can get the meaning of what they're trying to say. That's if you want to love her. See, my wife and I were best friends first. And after we became friends, I was like, I don't know how, if you go deal with somebody else, I'm going to be able to handle this. And so one of my songs is Legacy, Pieces of Me. And she says, people just don't know what I'm about. They haven't seen what's there behind my smile. There's so much more to me, more of me, I'm showing now. These are the pieces of me. And so as strong as I thought Jill was, and I didn't realize a whole lot of times, she walked around being strong and she didn't cry. She said, I don't cry. Very rarely do I cry. But I didn't find that out till we was together, and I'm like, wow. But when you look at this, she says, when it looks like I'm up sometimes, I'm down. I'm alone even with people all around. So she's saying, I know how to put on the face. I know how to put on the mask. And she said, these are the pieces of me. But that don't change the happiness I found. She says in this, so when you look at my face, you got to know that I'm made of everything, love and pain. So let me say that again. She says, when you look at my face and you see how beautiful I am, when you see, because I don't know if you ever catch the brother staring at you, but sometimes we just get caught looking at you, because if he really is into you, we can't believe how blessed we are. And so when she says, when you look at my face, you got to know I'm made out of everything, love and pain. See, for so long, I wanted to love the lover, but not the one who was hurt. And so these are the pieces of me. Here's a note I want to give you if you are with an assertive woman, a beautiful woman. See, because we're going to get rid of the strong woman. I just did that because that's getting your attention. But we got to debunk the strong black woman. Why have you been meshed in to hashtag the strong black woman and it's all condensed in one word? Why is that? Because the world sees you as a strong black woman because they know you go through all this pain and she's strong. But no, hell no, she's beautiful. She's beautiful. She's loving. She's caring. She's kind. And anybody who knows a woman, and I'm not saying this, if you're judging people who have lost it or they have some mental issues and gone off the deep end, cut that out. I'm talking about these assertive sisters who got it going on. But here's the note I want to get to you. She's more than just being your moral support or your morale builder. See, we often meet a sister or meet a woman and, you can make me a better man. I know if I hook up with you, I'll just be a better person. That's probably true. But you got to become better too. And I think a lot of people fall for that line. And it's not a line. He really believes it, because when he sees you and he gets with you, he understands, listen, my life is better around you. Remember I'm saying that. And so she's more than sexual intimacy. You got to touch her without wanting to have sex. You got to touch her without it being sexual. You got to take your time. You got to touch her in some other ways. And so she goes on to say in the song, like every woman I know, I'm complicated for show. See, if you listen to these songs, these sisters going to tell you what they're going through. Women, white women. I got Alanis Morissette. I love her. And she breaks it down. But I want you to understand, she says, like every woman I know, I'm complicated for show. So she already knows she got some issues. And believe me, she knows she has issues. And why is that, my friends? Because she chose you. The fact that she chose you says she has issues. But now, I'm not saying that in a mean way. What I'm saying this is that you can't just be a peaceful survivor. And I term this peaceful surviving and I termed it that because first I learned it myself, but then I learned it from just people living together and all these different things. And then while I was going through a hospital visit this year, I was walking into a lobby and the lady was on the phone and she was just saying, I just can't keep doing everything. He's got to do something. And what happens, peaceful survival means that we as men will do just enough to keep you from getting pissed off and not putting me out. But at the same time, I don't truly have a heart change. It's just a change, but I call it a 2-week change because I don't really turn around. Listen, let me tell you something. And I'm going to give you a word that's used in the Bible, but it's talking about, and the word is repent. Repent, get rid of that religious stuff. It means to burn the bridge. It means to burn the bridge so you can't cross that way no more, and to turn your back on that and go somewhere else. And so when you repent, you are burning the bridge and you're not going to that behavior no more. And I remember, I love my wife. And every time she got mad, and especially early on, we'd be going at it. But I would tell her, because we're friends. When I realized that she was wrong, or she was right, or what she was saying, I would say, do me a favor. Do me a favor. In 60 days, I will not be this man. Because I had already surrendered in so many other areas, and because she knew I kept my word, I said, I know you're pissed, and I hear what you're saying. I'm saying give me 60 days, but it ain't going to even take 30. See, because when you begin to measure your love for her, see, and you get that hatred or that bitterness and that envy out your heart, you'll begin to be able to cooperate with her. I'm going somewhere with this. And so when you're a peaceful survivor, you look at her body and her resources. And now I'm talking about, you look at her body, her physical, her physical being and all. But I want you to know she looks at your body. Yeah, they got the physical thing. I'm not dealing with that. And your resources. That's why I wrote in Fabulously, she's fabulously 40 and over. But now let me give you this. When I say she's looking at your body, I'm not talking about your sexual prowess. What I'm talking about is she's looking for someone to handle her crazy. Can I say it again? When she lets you in, she's looking for someone who can handle her crazy. Because she knows she can be complicated. And when I say crazy, I can be crazy, but she needs someone that's going to be able to stick there through there with her when they see all the pieces of her. So when she says, I'm letting you in, and y'all are dating, or y'all are close, or y'all are married, or you move in, or whatever, what she's literally saying is, I am willing to trust you with my heart and my pain. And I learned this from my wife, because we would be going through some stuff and I couldn't understand why she could just get off so fast. Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. Trust is her biggest issue. And I'm not just talking about my wife. Trust is often a sister's biggest issue, a woman's biggest issue. And why? Because just about every man in her life she's opened her heart to has disappointed her. And if not, it's a 50-50 thing. And she's seen a lot of her friends and mothers and just be disappointed. And because, no, disappointed, I'm saying by not showing up, thank you. So her loving you is really an indication that your presence diminishes her past pain some. When Jill let me in her life, she was unconsciously saying, your presence makes me happy. But you can undo that. Believe you me, I did it. But and so now I'm going to go back to the lyrics where Letticy said, but when I love till there's no more love. She says, when I love till there's no more love. This is why we as good men, true men, must honor her willingness to love you. And I'm going to give some information about that whole when she loves you. This woman is saying, but when I love till there's no more love. What you don't understand, she'll go the distance with you. And often she's gone the distance. And that's why by the time you hook up with her, she's apprehensive. I tell you, I said, Jill, I had to say, listen, hey, look, man, I'm not a man. I said, well, look, listen to what I'm saying. I'm not all these dudes. And not that you had a lot. I'm just not the men you've been with. And I don't know what you want. I don't know if you want a thug. I don't know what the deal is. But I'm trying to work this out. So, as a good man, we as men must honor her with the willingness to love you. And I say, I love you. And I'm going to take this back. True men honor her with the willingness to love her in spite of her character flaws. And so for me, I had to learn that my character flaws that brought my wife mental stress and psychological discomfort, that woman loved me in spite of those character flaws. I had my thoughts jumbled up. But she loved me in spite of the character flaws. Prime example, when she chooses to make love to you, when you have consistently not chosen to overcome your demons and show her the love she needs when she needs it. So in other words, there's some times you want a piece, but you ain't did what it takes to get a piece. And so I'm just going to help you out and give you a few pointers, my friend. For a woman, love starts in the kitchen. And I'm not talking about cooking a good meal. For a woman, love starts in the laundry room, meaning wash the kids' clothes. For a woman, love starts with not just washing her car, but going the extra mile. Love starts, and let me just give this to you, because Jill tried to leave me at least a good 5 times that I can remember. But I finally had to get to the conclusion, she's been right. She said, Deron, you are kinder to your friends than you are to me. Because I was into my friends, but I wasn't into her. So I made a vow to her. I said, from this point on, I am into you. And so when I say it starts in the kitchen, it says, do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourself. Do what it says. And so for her, when you do a few things around the house, pause your game, decide that you're not going to take this thing with your friends and you're going to stay around and do some of the stuff that she's asked you to do. And what I do now, man, is I just make a list on a Post-it note, a board, and put it in 3 different places so I can remember. What she's asking for is action, not talk. She gets tired of excuses. She gets tired of going through the same thing over and over and over again. She wants action. Y'all bear with me, because I still got some more coming out here. So, oh, my brothers, when a woman has given you the best that she's got, and when she asks you to do something, it's deeper than you just doing what she asks you to do. It's so much deeper. Or take care of an issue for her when she asks that. What is she really asking? Now, it took me years to get this. You can get it now. She's asking, can I please be able to count on you to get this job done? Competently, without me having to run everything by myself. She's literally saying, I need some help. She's saying, I need some help. She's saying, I'm giving you an opportunity to show me how deep your love is for me by making this request and hoping that you're going to honor my request without your drama. Let's make sure we get that in there. Without your drama, without pouting, and without delaying till you're ready to move. See, I now know. She asked me something. That program ain't that daggone important. Now, she will know sometimes I'm looking at something, she's not going to just do that. But I have to say, if I can spend 30 minutes on ESPN, then I can spend 30 minutes doing this thing she asked me to do. I can do it. I'm putting her first. So she's saying, can I count on you? Now, when I talk about drama, you can't delay till you're ready. Listen, just like when you want a piece, when you ask her for some, you don't want her to tell you, I got a headache. You don't want to tell you, nah. Or you don't want to give you the cold shoulder. You want her to be able to give you a piece. And you want some. And you don't want her to say, well, let me finish watching my program first. And that's what you're doing, sister. You need to switch that up. But when she does that, she's obliging you with some good loving. And sometimes, bro, that's a sacrifice. Now, why would I say sometimes that's a sacrifice? I was told when I did this, when I was writing this down, just in the creativity part, I heard wisdom say, I stopped going to my wife's conferences. And let me tell you why. Because one day I snuck in thinking I'm just going to ear hustle and eavesdrop. And I snuck in at the wrong time. Because my wife is just as real as everybody, I'm looking to see if my battery was there. Just as real as everybody else. And she starts saying, when Deron wants to have sex or make love and do this, and I don't feel like it, I still do it. I had to do it. Now, it ain't every time now, but she said, I'll do it. And I can tell when she didn't want to, but she told these women, but I be singing praise songs in my head. I was like, what? She sings praise songs in the middle of that? And that's when I realized I don't even need to know. And so I could be funny sometimes to say, I know you said you tired. So what praise song you gonna sing tonight? That's funny to me. I don't know if it's funny to you, but it's funny to me. So let me get back to, I can hear her say, get back to the point. A good woman doesn't always want to fight to get what she wants, even in her own house. A strong woman is looking for you to show up. And here's how you show up. I'll just give you an example. For me, it was Home Depot trips. She would want to get something done around the house or whatever the case may be. And in her wanting to get something done around the house or whatever the case may be, when we got into Home Depot, I was complaining. I was criticizing. I was being ornery because I didn't want to do it. It was going to be something I had to do. And I never forget, on a couple of times, she would say to me, why is it that I can support you when you're doing what you're doing? But when we go to do something I ask you to do, I got to fight all this anger and all this attitude. And she said, this is not fun for me. And she said, Deron, I don't do that with you. So I had to learn to shut my mouth and be into her and do what she needs, because what she's really asking is, don't bring the bad juju. Make some of my moments nice. Make some of my moments peaceful. The first time I really started understanding God's voice, I said, he sounds just like my wife. I said, God sounds just like my wife. And when you look at Proverbs, when it refers to wisdom, wisdom is referred to as she. Google it. Google, why is it that Proverbs refers to wisdom as she? And the reason for that is because she is the one who brings the community together. She is the one who makes things happen. She is the one who has an ear. And if you listen to her, Proverbs 31 was written by a woman, not a man. And it was a woman to her son. And she was basically saying, here is the type of woman you want. Watch out for all these other people out here. So I'm going back to the song. She says, these are the pieces of me, so many colors, a good friend and a lover. Anything you want, yes, I can be. I can run the business and make time for fantasy. And so she's saying what she does. Now I'm going to get to the good part. And this is what you tuned in to listen to. And I learned this at one of the lowest points of my life. What I learned to do, people, is I learned to sit in the pain. Instead of complaining, sit in the pain and let the pain send me a message. And back in 2015 or 14, I experienced some serious trauma. And let me tell you something. This is why I know how it feels for your heart to be broken. I understand the pain of a woman, because through betrayal, through chaos, and I was so hurt that when I went away just to get my head together, I could barely hear. And I began to have this thought: will I ever be able to enjoy my life again? Will I ever love again? Will I ever trust again? Because I was beat down and my heart was hurting. And I saw this wedding party of women on the corner. They was enjoying, the sisters, they was enjoying themselves. And they was happy, and I couldn't be happy. I couldn't even connect with it. But when I had that pain, I learned to sit in it, and I'm going to say, send me a message. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to spend this time trying to crack the code to understand why my sister is going through what she's going through. So here's some of the things this is some of the things from a couple of my productions, hashtag Brother Hard Knocks and Equilibrium, and how he gets his equilibrium. But I want to give you these truths. Here's one truth. To love her. When a man loves a woman, he must love her hurt and her pain without hugging her fears. When you love her, you got to love all of her. I had to love to learn the period. I said it. I had to learn to love her in the season of the period. I had to learn how to stop trying to shut myself off so I don't get caught up in no mess. Now, I still ride low. But I had to learn. You can't get away from her because she's going through this hormonal thing. Bishop Perrin taught me, don't move away from the pinch. Move closer to the pinch. Get closer to her. You know, I got it down packed now, even to the point they asked me to go buy those feminine stuff. I do it, but I just want to get that over with. So I still have my own issues. But I told you I loved her. And guess what I told her? I vowed, and I haven't said it ever since I vowed. It's been some years. When she gets to tripping or she gets to feeling some kind of way, and it's not when she's just emotional, I do not say, I know what's happening, you on your period. That's the worst thing that you can say to her when she's going through that. Because her period does not invalidate what she feels. She's just more in touch with how she feels. And it may be somewhat over the top because her testosterone level is up. You got to be able to take it and grow up. Can I keep going? If this is blessing you, okay, somebody said ride low. I'm trying to read. Okay, somebody's watching. Okay, so I got somebody watching. I'm about to wrap this up, but I got to wrap it up with these truths. And these are the most important truths I wanted to get to. So I appreciate your patience. Her pieces are the hurt she encountered before you. Her pieces are the hurtful situations and the betrayals and the people talking about her and the things she went through with her girlfriends and high school and all these different things talking about her. And even if it's Facebook now and social media, she's been hurt prior to you. So when you love her, you have to understand she showed you the best part of her to get you in and allow you in. But once you see the other parts of her, I'm just going to say this right here. I'm going to get down to it. I ain't going to look for it here. I'm going to say this. Here's what my wife knows, and here's what the woman need to know. I'm going to be with you flaws and all. And you get an opportunity to miss it. You've given me opportunities, more opportunities than I could ever count to miss it. You get an opportunity to lose it. You get an opportunity to have a bad moment or a bad time. And I'm going to stop taking what you're going through personally, because I learned to empathize. She may be strong in your eyes, but she has fears. She has fears. My wife went through something, and I didn't even know she was feeling that bad, because she didn't tell me. And I was like, wow, I didn't know you felt that bad that long. And it had nothing to do with me. See, because in this world, they have learned how to have pain, but just keep moving and not deal with it. And remember watching Serena go through what she went through on that court. And when I looked at her eyes, I understood the eyes of myself and every person who's recognized I've done the best I can, and they trying to take this from me. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. She ain't that mad at you. I had to learn when my wife really went off, it wasn't necessarily what I did, and she ended up teaching me. And we learned together. It was the wounds that my words were touching that caused her to go there, or the wounds that my behavior was touching. So I had to allow her to lose it, because I lost it early on in marriage, punching holes in walls and from Southeast DC. Well, it's a more upscale now, but the part she was from, Valley Green and all that kind of stuff, I got to kicking doors and acting all crazy. And she said, 2 people can be crazy in there. 2 people can be crazy. And then she took off and started kicking holes in the door and all this stuff. I was like, stop. I didn't realize she could be just as crazy as me. So here's where I want to bring us to the end. Fantasia says she's got a song called Man. We don't got it, I'll go and get it. It ain't a thing. If it's broken, I'll fix it. I don't complain. But now, see, it's getting a little out of hand. Cooking, cleaning, providing, taking care of little man. You want to talk about who's wearing the pants. Well, baby, I don't understand. If you gonna be a man, be the man. When she says, I don't understand, she's saying, women, they often will watch you get hyped up on something you want to do and do it with vigor, energy, and passion. But when they ask you to do something for them, you got some kind of complaint. And when she says, I don't understand, because she says, I can see you get up for your basketball game. I can see you get up for your video games. I can see you get up when you having these business discussions. But when it comes to me, you can't get excited unless you're getting ready to get some. You better get this or you're going to stop getting some. So she says, be the man, because if you can't, baby, I can. And I can, and I can, and I will so. Figure it out. Which one of us is going to be the man of the house? I was going to write a play called Two Women in the House and One is a Man. No, 2 men in the house and one is a woman. Because the sisters are often having to take point. And here's what I'm going to tell you, brother. Don't you beat yourself up, because ain't nobody teach us how to love her. That's why I'm taking the time to talk to you. So if you sending me some crazy little whatever y'all send me on this thing, listen, man, I love you, man. I needed somebody to teach me. Nobody taught me this. I love this through trial and error. And so she said, you ain't supposed to act like a little boy just because I'm independent. Now, let me give you my story. When I married Jill, I was in ministry in the very beginnings. And we were driving in her Toyota Tercel. And I would take her to work down at Hogan and Hartson. And I remember she said, are you going to get a job? I said, yeah, baby. I said, here's what I want to do. Please give me the opportunity to see this one through. If it doesn't pan out, I'm going to switch and do what I'm supposed to do. And she trusted me. That's why I can't mess around and give her all this blues. She stuck by me. She was there. She paid the bills. I was going traveling different places and doing different things. And sometimes I traveled 3 hours and the people would give me an honorarium of $75. I didn't even have money to make it back through the toll. But she was there with me. And she stuck with me, and she was smarter than me, and she teaches better than me. So when she says in this thing, I'm not dumb. She says, you want to walk around with your chest out like you the one, but if I don't do it, then it won't get done. I'm a good woman. I'm not dumb. I don't say anything, but know that I see what's going on. She just talks to her girlfriends. Speaking of girlfriends, let me deal with insecurity. Jill had her girlfriend and a couple of best for girlfriends. And I was like, don't be telling them about our problems and stuff and all that kind of stuff. And Wisdom said, man, she needs an outlet because you ain't here. And you wouldn't have to worry about being embarrassed around her friends if you just showed up and did what you're supposed to do. If you man up, you won't have to worry about that. And if you are man enough to accept that you got issues, you'll let her do what she got to do and say what she got to say. But you work on you. Here's what I wrote. I had to kill my insecurity and get rid of that I don't need nobody in my business attitude, because I understood my own crazy PTSD, post-traumatic simple dude, or post-traumatic simple dudeism. I was a simple dude. And so I'd be doing some simple stuff. And she had to tolerate that, and she was 3 years older than me. So the song goes on to say, I'm sick and tired. Now, I promise you I'm at the closing. I said, when you love her, the key is to love her hurt and her pain without hugging her fears. I learned this. My wife taught me this. I loved her hurt and her pain, but I had her let her deal with her fears. And in letting her deal with her fears, when you love a person, you love all of them. Put her hurt and her pain and her fears all in the same boat. Then and only then can you understand who she is. And I had to begin to understand the pillow talk, the story she told me, what she'd been through, the things she had experienced with her mother and her father and all these different things. And I had to have empathy because we both had issues coming into this marriage. When you love her, you must ask her, the strong woman, what can I do to lighten your burden? She must see, what can I do to lighten your burden? And listen, I didn't get right after I got sick and had an aneurysm. I had an aneurysm 7 years ago. And I'm still here, thank God. I'm almost teared up. And she had to wheel me around. She had to walk with me. And I almost checked out. And I was so glad that I had switched up 2 years prior, so that when she was loving me, she didn't have to do it out of obligation, but she did it because she knew I had been there for her. Oh, this year. Just let it go, D. This year, as I've gone through this trial with my health, she said some of the most kind words she could have said to me. She said, Deron, I did this alongside you, not behind you. We got this. I got this. She said, you went the distance. She said, I didn't have a degree. I didn't have a vocabulary. My daughter had a dream, but she wouldn't have been able to accomplish it without you in our lives. And she said, you went the distance. So she said, you go ahead and get well. But although I'm a man, I'm strong, and it still hurt to rely on her. But she could do that because she knows I love her. And she's told me on many, I know you love me. And it's not even doing it, I know you love me. And not to mean we don't have vicious stuff. And so, brother, let me tell you something. You're going to need somebody. You're going to need somebody. And you got to love. So don't beat yourself up because nobody taught us. You learn your own philosophy through off. And I got to do this because when she goes off the emotional deep end, I choose to ride with her. Why is that? Because she's ride or die with me. Now, let's talk about when she loves you. She loves you with both her hurt and her pain. When she loves you, she accepts all of you. Now, she may talk about you and say some stuff to you, but she loves you with her hurt and her pain. And this is good for the brother, but it's also bad for her. Hold on, it's also bad for her. Because here's what I've observed with a lot of women. Her motives of love will often start from her hurt. And she will love from her hurt, not from a healed part. And her pain whispers in her ear. And here's what her pain says to her. Love him more than enough to keep him from hurting you like the others did. So when she finally settles, she decides, I'm going to love the pain out of them. And I want to tell you, you can't love the pain out of a man or a woman. You can love them, but the pain is their burden. That's what they got to let go. And you can't let it go for them. Here's what I close out. I'm a student of Hebrew. She's the Ishet Hael. And the Ishet Hael, the man who, he says, who can find a virtuous woman? When you look up the word virtuous in its original Hebrew, it means valiant, strength of mind and spirit. One who is able to encounter danger with great courage in the face of it. So when you are with a strong, assertive woman, this is who she was created. Hebrew, the original language, the Ishet Hael. Hael, it's spelled with C-H-A-Y-I-L. Hael, Ishet Hael. Power, might, miraculous energy, woman of valor, strength, mind, and spirit that enables you, brother, to encounter danger. And she will have great courage. I wrote down here when I learned that, you are my angel, Jill. You are my angel. Here's what I want to say. I'm done. To love a woman takes a strong man. You got to have a strong constitution. And I now understand that she can go from 0 to 60. But I now understand, it's my friend. I'm a lover. Hey guys, I'm done. Do me a favor, can you send me something, just I don't know how they do it on Facebook or messaging or whatever, so I can just know how this went and how it's going. You know, I'm really not on Facebook. Somebody else goes on there for me. but I'm on it now because I'm doing my thing. But can you just let me know? Because I want to see where I'm at. And if you have some questions or anything of that nature, know that Jill has a funky pajama party that's coming up. Y'all want to catch her while she is where she is right now, because she's on fire. And it's called the Authentic Woman Leadership Conference in Ocean City. And she's got some special guests and all this that are coming out. And she hasn't done this in some years because we've been in trials. But we found our footing. And let me close with this. This is why you got to listen to your woman. 2 years ago, she said, Deron, I'm scared. I said, why is that, baby? She said, because you used to then let this stuff bother you. And you are allowing things to bother you. And that's not who you were. That's not the man I met. I'm praying for you, but I'm also afraid. Because I allowed that energy just to push me back into a dark corner. But guess what? Though a righteous man fall 7 times, he'll rise again. A righteous sister fall, she'll rise again. And the rest of that scripture says, don't touch his stuff, because he's coming back for it. Don't call it a comeback. I've been here. And I just gave you some words of wisdom. I truly ask you to take them. Now here's what I'm going to ask you to do for me. Pray for me. Pray that I can keep this energy. Pray that I can keep my mind. Pray that I can continue to minister to people. Pray that this medication removes and kills this cancer stuff that has tried to ravage my body. Pray that I be able to keep my right mind and my memory and everything. Pray that I'm able to feed. We got 100 kids, that new request of children we need to feed in D.C. Pray for Kids Eat Free. If you can, donate to Kids Eat Free, because I'm doing this because a lot of my sisters have jobs, but they can't pay all the bills. So they're having to choose between electricity and food and all these different things. And they got jobs. This is what we should do as a ministry. This is what we should do as a people. So when you hear me talk about Kids Eat Free, Fabulous 40 and over, that's all that does is promote Kids Eat Free. They didn't ask to come here. Pray for my spirit tonight, because I'm up right now, but I have ups and downs. Life. Pray that we can flow, and pray that the second half is better than the first. Because guess what? I did this whole darn thing and didn't curse. I love you all, and I beat you to it. God bless you. Now I'm going to try to stop this thing, and I'm going to post it. I really do love you all. It's been a long time. I don't even know what these things are, but some hearts are exploding, and I'm thanking God for it, because at least I know somebody listening. So I'm going to stop it. I love you. God bless you. Oh, and that's it. Bye.